Hearty shalom to you, Jeffrey Seif here.
Barri Seif.
Honey, take it away. What do you got for us today?
Well, we're excited for you to go on the journey and meet a very special person, Carol. Her husband was a pastor and he died, and she started thinking, what gifts can I do? And she thought, well, I can teach sewing. Well, her sewing turned into doing alterations, teaching sewing classes. But most recently, she joined us in Israel. But not only that, she contributed with her own energy to make blankets for children and these wonderful stuffed bears. And so come along on the journey with us as we go and watch how she puts together these items for Israel.
Yep, a great story, a great woman.
Well, I've always had a love for Israel, and I always watched a lot of the teachings and a lot of just on TV. My husband and I both loved going to Israel before, and we always wanted to go back, but he wasn't able to. And this is my chance to go. And the only thing that was holding me back was the money and the cost of it all. But it's a lot less than what I thought, and it was a lot less than what we paid years ago. But I do love Israel, and God tells us to honor them. God tells us to listen to them, and God tells us to follow them. And I love the Jewish people. I thought one thing that I can do is to make some blankets for them to have. I always like the Linus look of a child hanging on to their blanket. All my children and all my grandchildren have done that, and then usually they're blankets that I made. And I think that was always special to me because they had part of me with them. But I kept saying, what can I do? And the Lord just kept saying, you can sew. You can sew.
Yeah.
Instead of teaching sewing, then I ended up sewing a lot of it.
I asked Carol if there were those, even family members, who were trying to persuade her not to go to Israel.
Well, not persuade me, but they want to make sure I'm going in knowing what's happening.
Sure.
And I said, I'm not afraid. And I said, there's still people over there in such need.
Yes.
Young kids, that just breaks my heart. And young mothers and people that have lost everything, and people who have lost a loved one. There's a lot of needs, and that's where I'd like to go. And I have been on several mission trips, but not like this, not going into a unrest in the area.
Yeah, honey, people used to think that if someone was serving the Lord, they need to become a monk or a nun or something. But with the Protestant Reformation, all that changed. The thinking was that all vocations are sacred. Individuals are gifted to do different things. And what's important is that we use our gift. Carol, it seems to me, is an excellent example of that.
She uses her sewing machine to bless others.
Yes.
At times she uses it for alterations, but she also shares with us about how she has made these wonderful creations. She even saves material and then puts together these wonderful teddy bears and blankets.
Well, it's really quite simple when you're making just blankets, or even doing quilting. I did not quilt all these, but I did, make the blankets out of them. And one side's a real soft side, and then the other side is, it kind of gives it the body of the blanket. But I just went with a yard on 36 inches by 36 inches, and just about all fabrics give you that wide, you can open them up, and then I just matched the colors the way I thought I could. And I have so many that that was easy to do.
Carol's husband died after a bout with cancer, and she's a widow. And she was prompted by the Lord to begin sewing many years ago. I asked her how it all came about.
Well, in one of my crying prayers, I kept saying, Lord, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I verbally feel like I heard him speak to me saying you're going to sew. And it just exploded. I had Dallas Morning News come and do an article on me and put me on the cover. And then the little magazine that's around here, she came and did a feature, and people were just calling.
As much as everyone loves Carol blankets, really her stuffed animals, her stuffed bears are the ones that are really adored.
This is a cutie. He is a cutie, and I made something out of this fabric, and it's really got 4 different pieces of fabric on it, and it was just scraps. And I have not made this out of this soft baby fabric. And I thought, well, I'm going to make one to see how it goes. And I think he turned out pretty cute. They're fun to make. They're easy to make. They're harder to stuff than they are, because I want them to be squishy.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get them hard, and then I got to take the stuff out and do something else with it and kind of bring it down. And then I had another one that's going to be this color.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that is so cute. Oh my goodness.
This was already quilted, and so these were just scraps that I had of something else that I had made, and I thought that's just right for that. I put him in scraps, and then he came in scraps real good too, because that was, it was actually something that I made for somebody else. It was a couple of pillows. Well, I hope it is not my last trip, because I would love to go every time.
Yes.
Every time.
Well, I missed this trip, baby. It was all yours.
Well, a lot of people bring back stuff to Israel, but we're the only group that I know of that brings so much stuff back that comes back almost empty. And so Carol, with her creative sewing ability, with the blankets and the bears that were just adorable, and even the way she makes sure that they are safety eyeballs for the little stuffed bears. Not only she contributed, but several others did in different cities around the country. There was a large contingency of people that were going to come from Atlanta. We were supposed to have a group of 20, but these are unusual times. And 48 hours before we were to leave on Wednesday, there was notice given by Air Canada and Lufthansa, God bless them, I understand, and they canceled the flights to Tel Aviv. So 12 of our group could not come. And those 12 probably had between them about 25 suitcases of aid and gifts and blessings for those in Israel, and handmade items as well from you. And so us 8, our small little group, flying only on LL, and we're so grateful to LL. They're very safe. Their pilots are former Israel Air Force pilots. The planes are equipped with anti-missile detectors. Thank God we never even came across any of that. But we got to go. One of the greatest sights was landing right at dusk into Ben Gurion Airport. And it was just such a blessing. The journey began. So not only did Carol have her items, but we had items. We still brought about 25 suitcases, of which our charity does pay the overage, the luggage fees. And so there's one young lady, Wendy Hatton, who you'll be seeing here in a few minutes, that made sure that people, she collected socks for the IDF, T-shirts, some handmade items.
IDF, Israeli Defense Forces.
Thank you.
The Army.
Yes. And they have a big need right now. And so even with T-shirts and socks, which we equip them with. So you're going to hear from Wendy. And we have people from both sides of the continent, from the country, from North Carolina, and Wendy's from Portland, Oregon, and places in between. So hope you enjoy learning more about Wendy's journey to Israel with us.
Well, I had heard about it through Ruth, my sister-in-law. She's gone with you several times and she lives in Dallas. And I was interested then, and I'd been to Israel 3 times already, but on tour or 2 times, I guess, at tours and stuff. So I didn't really do any kind of charity or mission work with that. And so I kind of felt like as much as I travel, I want them all to be mission trips. You know what I mean? Like you're going somewhere, you want to do something. You don't want to just be there, right? You want to do something. So that's what, when she invited me to go, she wanted us 3 to go as sister-in-laws. And, I really loved it. And I think I've always, had a heart for the Israeli people, but it really opened my eyes to more of that, and especially with the war going on, the needs and how persecuted they have been and how hard that is.
Our flight to Israel was a pleasant one as usual. And what's special is that there are many religious people on the plane, and it's very nice to see the Bible being read, especially in the middle of the night, especially if it's in Hebrew. Once on the ground in Israel, Wendy and Sarah grinned ear to ear, and Sarah was so elated because she hadn't been there in 50 years. They both were excited to take that extended walk through Ben Gurion Airport. We are in the airport at Tel Aviv, and for some, we are home. There it is. Yippee, yay. Carol's suitcase has arrived. Her suitcase on love and all of her goodies.
Those bags are filled with goodies that people send who watch this program. They care to share, like Carol and others. They make gifts, pack them, and it's such a thrill to be there with those bags in Israel, ready to go, ready to get to work for the Lord. So many people do so many things to bring all this together to share the love of God in Israel. Yes.
Well, I always like to say that it's your gifts, your donations, your care, your prayers is what gets us there. And we are your emissaries, and we are emissaries of the Lord. So yes.
We can always use a buck, and thank you for those who share those dollars, but share teddy bears too, and crafts and what have you. And the Lord gets a lot of utility out of those.
We're excited for you to join us in the future shows because you'll get to see the smiles. You've seen it all from our end, but wait till you see on the receiving end. It'll bless your heart.
Yes, and so it is. Shalom, Israel. Thank you for partnering with us to bring peace to Israel.